What is up, guys? Today I'm going to bring you guys an updated Odd Eyes Magician deck profile.
Don't lose your way, your mind, we have to be.
So now a lot of you guys were probably waiting to see my updated Magician build because the main thing is the reason I hadn't updated this deck is since Pendulum Call was limited, I hadn't had a lot of chances to touch the deck and I didn't really have a lot of reasoning to touch the deck. But nevertheless, we got the second Wisdom Eye back, so I figured it was high time I give you guys an updated build. So we'll go ahead and get to it straight away, which is, first off, we have the 3 copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I'm still running 3 because we don't have as many level 7 bodies, and of course if you want to actually summon, this guy, you kind of need a level 7s on blind. But I still like having a 3 because a lot of your combos revolve around this card, and it can end games on its own really quickly against some decks. So it's a pretty powerful card, and there's a lot of search targets in this deck, more than your standard Magician list, so yeah, pretty decent as a 3-of. Then for the Roflora Pal targets, we have the 1 Light Phoenix and the 1 Odd Eyes Unicorn. I still like having the Odd Eyes Light Phoenix as a kind of searchable, low-scaled. Whenever we get Persona Dragon, this will definitely be a Persona Dragon, but we don't have it yet, so pretty decent. But Unicorn is actually really good because it allows you to... I always prefer this over Mirage Dragon because it enables a lot of really neat plays with the Swift OTKs with the deck because you can pump up your Joker. If you have a Joker and an Odd Eyes online, you can use this effect to pump up your Odd Eyes monster you control by 1800, and that with the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon's effect to do double damage, that can end games in one attack. Really powerful cards, really like them a lot. You could play the second Unicorn, but I just prefer it this way. I feel like due to space issues, I decided to bump it. So now for our next card, we have the 3 copies of Magical Abductor. So if you don't know what Magical Abductor does, it's sort of like its Pendulum effect is sort of like a Royal Magical Library, but for Pendulum monsters. Basically, every time you activate a spell card, this gal gets a counter on her while she's in the Pendulum Zone or on the field. Her Pendulum effect allows you to remove 3 counters to search any Pendulum monster from your deck. So while there aren't as many good targets as there used to be due to Kirin being banned, due to this being kind of a weird deck, but I still feel like Abductor's a really powerful card. Her monster effect lets you search, I believe it's level 1 spellcaster types. But most of the time, you're not going to use that. I mean, unless you really want to search Tuning Magician or Effect Failures, you might have cited. Speaking of search targets, we have the 1 Skullcrow Bat Joker. Most of the time, this is the guy you're going to be searching off your Abductor. Searches all your important combo pieces. A really powerful card. Still love it a lot. Like you play the maximum Konami will let you. The 1 Luster Pendulum. This is another mainly again with Abductor. You can search this off. It allows you to go into your Ignister. Ignister is that one for a reason. Really strong card, love it a lot. Always have loved Lusters and its artwork. And of course, now the guy you probably wanted to see, the newly semi-limited, so happy to again, Wisdom Eye Magician. Really powerful card. If you have another Magician or Performer Pal in your Pendulum Zone, you can pop this guy to set any Pendulum card from your hand. So basically, if this and almost any card in this deck in your Pendulum Zone, you can set any scale you need, and it puts itself in the extra deck, which opens up so many combos. There's so many loops and just dumb things with this card. You can theoretically use this 3 or 4 times in a turn. It's absolutely disgusting, and I love it that it's finally back at 2. So, and then we still have the vanilla ratios that pretty much these have been standards for ages for mine to build, which is 1 Dragon Pulse, 3 Dragon Pit. Pulse is I still like Pulse in here. It's really powerful. Being able to play around established boards is always nice. Bait out annoying stuff with monsters. Dragon Pit is still a staple at 3 because we don't have these Arc Magicians, the Iris, the Black Fang, the searchable low scale. So when we do get those cards, this will probably go down to 1. But for now, I really like this ratio a lot. And playing around back row is always important for a Pendulum deck because you want to get those strikes out of the way. Then we have the 1 Yankee Magician, pretty much a necessary card if you want to summon this guy. It's pretty necessary. When it's in the Pendulum Zone, you can target an Exceed monster you control. Make that card in that level monster can be used for, I believe, you can use its rank as a level even if its card leaves the field. It can also negate light monster effects, but it's mainly just here to summon your Raging and Rebellion Dragon. Next up, we have the 2 copies of Oath Dragon Magician. Really important card for cycling your resources. You can recycle resources from your extra deck. So if you happen to have a Yankee Magician in your extra deck and you need to summon Raging Dragon, this guy comes up. on summon, he also adds one Odd Eyes or Magician from your grave to your hand. So basically replacing what you pitch with Dragon Pulse and Dragon Pit. Really powerful card. I can't see myself ever running less than 2 in any build, even, you know, with all the new support. And then we have, and for the last Magician, we have the 1 Noble Dragon Magician. Pretty decent. Having a searchable tuner is always nice, especially when she works in grave and in hand. Special summon herself. So it works really well with your Odd Eyes cards. Don't need to say too much about that. Then for the engine, I'm still in the phase of running these guys, which is the Magispector engine, which is the 3 Raccoon, 2 Fox, 1 Toad. Pretty. Now, Kieran is banned. I will admit that Kieran being banned does hurt this engine a little bit, but nevertheless, this engine helps because it gives fills the void magicians have always had, which is turn 1 plays. I've done everything from play Rafflesia in this list to play Avian, etc. But however, these guys are pretty decent even now. They give you more level 4 bodies for rank 4 plays. And, you know, and they also work really well with the field spell to put counters on Abductor. So pretty powerful. Still like the engine. It's only 6 Magispectors, but the important thing to remember is you can also attribute your Oath Dragon Magician for the cost of the Magispector cards. Next up, we have the 2 Archphoenix-centrics. I don't run MSTs because, as I found at multiple regionals, Anti-Spell Fragrance has been moved from the main to the sideboard, so you don't really need MSTs in the main. And the main trap you're really worried about is Dimensional Barrier, which is chainable. So that's one of the reasons I run Eccentric over an MST, so she's basically my MST Exiled Force. Now, that's all for the monster. For the spells, we have the 1 Pendulum Call. Pendulum Call is a really strong card, even at 1. Obviously, we are getting the new spell card that searches this, so the deck's going to be even better at that point. But Pendulum Call is, you won the maximum Konami will let you. And then for the spells, for the field spell engine I was mentioning earlier, we have the 2 Sky Iris, 2 Magic Pegasus, 2 Terraforming. The main reason I'm running these field spells is because these are here to get counters on Abductor. It also limits your... The main reason I don't like running the 3rd Sky Iris is that it can be a little bricky drawing multiple copies. So this main thing this does, if you open any combination of these cards, you can still put all your counters on your Abductor, and it helps a lot. Pegasus, like I said earlier, you can also attribute your Oath Dragon Magician for the cost to summon this. So it allows you to further your combos and further your plays. Sky Iris is self-explanatory, being able to destroy any card to search any Odd Eyes card you need, and terraforming, you know, etc. Pretty powerful, like it a lot. Then for these last 2 spells, we have the 1 Odd Eyes Fusion and the 1 Summoner's Art. Pretty like these cards. They're pretty fine at this ratios. I like these. They're fine. Odd Eyes Fusion is basically like a pseudo Shaddoll fusion when your opponent has an established board. Being able to summon a Vortex Dragon that can bait stuff like Totally Awesome, etc., and then negate the monster that they baited is always nice. Summoner's Art it gets a counter on your Abductor, but it also searches your Dragon Pit Magician. So yeah, pretty strong there. And then for the traps, we only play the Magispector traps. We have the 2 Tempest and the 1 Tornado. I find that this, even though you do have 3 cards that search these traps, I find that these are the best ratio-wise. You could always side the extra Tornadoes if you feel like you need them, but I feel like this is the solid. You don't want to draw too many traps, so yeah, pretty powerful. Now for the extra deck, as far as siding, I don't have a lot yet, but obvious stuff like Denko Sekka is always powerful, so it's really up to you. Now we have the 1 Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. So if you're unfamiliar with what this card does, it has a very similar effect to Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. When it's used, when you use an Exceed monster to make it as material, it gains extra effects. So when it does that, it can detach material to nuke your opponent's entire board. So it's a JD that only pops for only your opponent, and then on top of that, it can attack twice. And when it does nuke the board, it gains 200 attack for each card that's popped. When it does die, it can place itself in the Pendulum Zone. But the important thing to remember is the Pendulum Zone must be clear. Much like Nirvana High Paladin, the Pendulum Zone has to be clear for this guy to place himself in the Pendulum Zone. It's very important to know, but it is a 1-card scale while it's in the Pendulum Zone, just like Rebellion. Speaking of Rebellion, speaking of the Devil, we have the 1 Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. You might be Aura. You have this guy. Why do you still have Rebellion in here? Well, the main reason I have Rebellion still in here is because I like to summon this guy off my Absolute Dragon, and there's times where Rebellion can be a better card than Raging Dragon. I've always liked that Rebellion nukes the scales when it dies as well. It's always been something I like about the card, that it essentially generates advantage when it does bite the dust, you can just place it in the pendulum zone, nuke the scales, and then bring them all back next turn. Really powerful card, like it a lot. So yeah. For the other rank 7s, we have it's just the one Absolute Dragon and the one Red Eyes Flare Metal. You can use both these guys to climb into, with Yankee Magician's Pendulum Effect, to climb into Raging Dragon Rebellion. Important to remember. It can target any, as long as it's a Dragon type Exceed monster. So Raging Dragon is really strong, being a Utopia that can special summon Odd Eyes monsters from the grave when it gains an attack. Really strong. And it floats when it goes to the grave, so it's always nice. Flare Metal puts a lot of pressure on decks like Zodiacs that activate a lot of monster effects. Flare Metal puts a lot of pressure on them. It's basically like you have a Kaiju for it, or they're going to take a lot of damage. Especially with the Kaiju engine hit, I feel like Flare Metal is a really, really strong card this format. Now for the rank 4s, we have the 1 Degusta Emerald. Still a staple card in my opinion in this deck, because you still need to recycle those Magicians when they do go to the grave. I don't make it a lot, but worst comes to worst, you can make this and bring your Dragon Bolt or Dragon Pit Magician back from the graveyard. And then people forget it has that effect. Then we have the 1 copy Lightning Chidori. My theory with Chidori, like with a lot of cards, is I can make it. So if I can make it, I play it. Really strong card. Being able to knock a set card, bait set cards, and then on top of that, knocking another card at the top of their deck is always going to be strong. The 1 Castel, Castel is still a really strong card. It's Castel's love, Castel's life. You know, don't say too much about that. Then the 1 Karen Gorgon. Now this might seem like an odd card to choose, but I feel like Karen Gorgon is one of the strongest rank 4s in our week you can play right now. Karen, if you're unfamiliar with what this card does, basically whenever a card would target exactly one card, you can detach material. It's not once per turn. You can do it multiple times in a turn. You can detach material to redirect the target. So once you summon this against a deck like, say, Zodiacs or Paleos, all their Trident targets, all the Paleo spells and traps target, this essentially forces your opponent to either A, activate their stuff and force this activation out, or B, not activate it at all. Really strong card. Like it a lot. And it's also got good stats. It can also beat over Totally Awesome against Paleos, so that's really strong. Like it a lot. And it can also redirect MSTs and Cosmic Cyclones away from your scales. That's always nice. Then the 1 copy of Four-Mage Trapeze Magician. So this is an interesting card. I've kind of gone back and forth on Magicians, but in this build, it's really strong. Being able to make it a monster attack twice can end games on its own. This plus Ignister is game, so it's a really strong. It's always been a really strong card in my opinion. If you can make it. Then we have I'm still running the Utopia package in here. Magicians have always had issues getting over big monsters, so this is kind of where these cards come in. Pretty much as long as I'm playing Magicians, Utopia package will be in here. Really, pretty much necessary evils, unfortunately. Then for the Synchros, for 2 level 7s, we play the 1 Odd Eyes and the 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. The Meteor Burst is really strong. You saw my DDD recap from the regional. Really strong card. Being able to negate monster effects during the battle phase, and on top of that, just being able to grab. It can be a 1 card rank 7. Clearwing is kind of always like having that second synchro option for my Noble Dragon in the extra deck, and Clearwing does come up at times. There are a lot of card effects that target, so if you summon this can easily get over Trident. Because they can't target this, otherwise you negate the Trident. So it's a really strong card, and I like it a lot. So yeah. The 1 level 8 we play is Ignister. Ignister's still a really strong card. You have Luster, Pendulum, etc. So yeah, Luster. Ignister is a ridiculous card. Then we have the 1, for the last monster, we have the 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. I didn't feel the need to run it any other fusion targets because Vortex is just that strong. Honestly, you could probably run a second one. The card's really good. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you like my Odd Eyes Magician list, or what changes do you guys need? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Storm signing out.